she's in the next phase,
Yeah.
and they were having them down at church, and so
Oh,
we called the gal that was in charge of it, and I said, hey,
How's your charming
you don't
wife?
have any extras, you know, I don't want to throw away, I just want the crap. So, you know, Darla would be willing to jump in the last minute. She said, call me at 1 o'clock. Look at the day of shop, so we called her at 1 o'clock. She said, yeah, we've got some.
Well, I'm glad they found it.
People to show.
huh, yeah.
No,
Yeah, that stuff always happens, I guess.
Yeah, 'cause I guess I just
You
hate
have
to
to quit
see.
feeding her all that spicy food, Ron.
Go to waste.
Yeah, right.
Before you read about them, then
Yeah, that's unbelievable, huh?
Well, I'm glad you did.
But she's, yeah, it was funny, my daughter brought it home
maybe 30, and
Columbia,
he got,
and we come in through the garage,
residency down in Mississippi.
she opened the door, there's a sharp hall because
He couldn't go to work.
of water today.
yeah.
And
There's some people
all they
that,
could hear was,
yeah. And there's no rhyme or reason to say
she's
it's
very
this age for
glad.
that age, well, like he, he's 28 years old, you know, and.
That's Hi, Ed.
Durham, and she didn't have any, she didn't have any effect. She was great. You know, so,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
sexual.
No.
Right.
Somebody said that she wasn't there. I knew somebody had said that she wasn't there.
Okay, why you do that?
I'm hot.
Do we? Why can't I just push that when I talk? I don't care what.
Hey, how are you?
Do we turn the system on as opposed to turning it off here? We just leave it on all the time, 100%? Okay. That was a question I had after the last planning and zoning meeting, because we left it on. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
So that the board knows we're about to start our meeting, and this also helps our audiographer, you know, to get ready. And we do have one of our aldermen who will be attending via Zoom, correct?
If he comes on, Mike is monitored.
Okay, all right. Well, all right, it's 6 o'clock, so it's time to start. I do always like to start by welcoming and tonight it's our guest as opposed to guests. So we're glad to have you here. And for those that are online with us, we appreciate you being with us. I now call to order the March 18th, 2021 regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Alderman Ross.
Here.
Alderman Becker.
Here.
Alderman Rucker.
Here.
Alderman Morose.
Here.
Alderman Walker.
Here?
Alderman Osteen. And Mayor Oliveri.
Here. And for those of you who are wondering why Tara had such a deep voice. Good job, Chief. Thank you. Under Mayor's Communications, I do have a proclamation this evening, and it's regarding a very serious thing that happens not only in our community but throughout the United States, and it deals with Sexual Awareness, Assault Awareness Month as the basis for the proclamation. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every person in this community. Whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment harms our community, state, and nation. Statistics show that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 7 men will be raped at some point in their lives. Whereas child sexual abuse prevention must be a priority to confront the reality that 1 in 5 boys and 1 in 3 girls will experience a sexual assault before age 18, of which 2 out of 3 are between 12 and 17 years of age. Whereas on college campuses, 13% of all students experience rape or sexual assault through physical force, violence, or incapacitation among all graduates and undergraduate students. Whereas prevention is possible when everyone gets involved by working together to educate our community about sexual violence prevention, supporting victims, and speaking out against harmful attitudes and action, a safer environment will be created for all. Whereas Camden, Miller, and Morgan counties have joined forces in the development of the Lake Area Sexual Assault Response Team, SART, which includes the Lake Area Regional Hospital, local law enforcement, and the prosecutor's offices in the Tri-County area, and victim services provided like Kids Harbor and Citizens Against Domestic Violence. Whereas the SART team circles around victims of sexual assault to provide best practice in medical intervention, investigatory tools, prosecutorial strategies, and advocacy support with the goal of holding predators accountable for their crime. Now, therefore, I, John Oliver, Mayor of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2021 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and strongly support the Lake Area SART team effort not only in the prevention of sexual violence, but its victim advocacy, and remind our citizens each day of the year it is an opportunity to create positive change for the future. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and have caused the official seal of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri to be affixed this 18th day of March 2021. Chief, I know, our department works with SART. Can you share a little information about them? I think that, from what I understand, do an outstanding job.
Mayor and members of the board, we've partnered with the SART team for probably since its inception. The former Sheriff Page and, our Sergeant Arlene Page, when she was here, had a lot to, they were some of the founding members of it. The teamwork that the SART team, everybody that you mentioned there, the Kids Harbor, the nurses at the hospital, CADV, prosecutor's office, the Lake Area law enforcement, the teamwork that everybody has and works together to solve those cases, everybody has their own specific part, and then it all works to seek justice for the victim. And instead of having, for a kid case, for example, instead of us having to interview that child, the victim, multiple times, it all happens in one place. We all get together and we can not put that victim through multiple interviews. Just simple things like that. So it's a great tool to have here at the lake. As a matter of fact, when it first started, we were the first one in the state, so at Lake Regional Hospital. So it's a good team to have.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your comments. For the record, Alderman Osteen has joined us via Zoom. Welcome, Bob. Can you hear us?
Apologies for being so late.
No, not a problem. We hear you well. Can you hear us?
Yes, just fine.
Okay, excellent. All right, now we move on to citizens communication. This is time set aside on the agenda for citizens and visitors to address the mayor and board on any topic that is not a public hearing, and there are no public hearings on tonight's agenda. For those here in person, speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes unless otherwise permitted. Minutes may not be donated or transferred from one speaker to another. Visitors attending via online will be in listen-only mode. Any questions or comments for the mayor and board may be sent to the city clerk at tbethron@osagebeach.org no later than 10 a.m. on the board meeting days, which for us is the first and third Thursday of each month. Submitted questions and comments may be read during the citizens communication section of the agenda. The Board of Aldermen will not take action on any item not listed on the agenda, nor will it respond to questions, although staff may be directed to respond at a later time. The mayor and board welcome and value input from the public. Is there anyone here in person? Ron, would you like to address the board? Since you're the only person here, would you address the board? Okay, well, we'll move on. Our first item of business is the approval of the consent agenda. If the board desires, the consent agenda may be approved by a single motion. Tonight's agenda consists of the minutes of the March 4th, 2021 regular Board of Aldermen meeting and the March 18th, 2021 bills list. Are there any questions, comments, or proposed revisions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion approved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second? Alderman Walker, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. Our first item of unfinished business request a second reading by title only of ordinance number 2107, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Evoqua Water Technologies, LLC, to provide odor control chemicals, ongoing maintenance, and to expand automated chemical feeding at 3 different sites in the amount not to exceed $158,000. The first reading of all of our unfinished agenda items tonight were approved during the March 4th meeting. Are there any additional comments from the Assistant City Administrator?
No, sir.
All right. If not, are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve second reading?
So moved.
Alderman Morose, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rucker. Roll call, please.
Alderman Rucker,
Yes.
Alderman Ross,
Yes.
Alderman Walker,
Yes,
Alderman Osteen,
Yes.
Alderman Morose,
Yes.
and Alderman Becker.
Yes.
All right, second reading passes. Our final item of unfinished business is requesting a second reading by title only of ordinance number 21-09, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the, whoops, did I miss one?
Yes, sir. Oh, wait.
I'm sorry. All right, our next item requests a second reading, still only a second reading, requesting by title only, ordinance number 2108, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute supplemental agreement number 3 to the professional service agreement with LOR Engineering LLC, doing business as Cochran Engineering, for engineering services for the Industrial Drive Improvement Project not to exceed $168,677. Any comments from the city administrator?
No additional comments.
All right, any questions or comments from the board? Saying none, is there a motion to approve second reading?
So moved.
Alderman Becker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Ross, roll call, please.
Alderman Ross,
Yes.
Alderman Walker,
yes,
Alderman Osteen,
Yes.
Alderman Morose,
Yes.
Alderman Becker,
Yes.
and Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
All right, second reading passes. And now our final item of unfinished business is requesting a second reading by title only of ordinance number 2109, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute supplemental agreement number 4 to the professional service agreement with LOR Engineering LLC, doing business as Cochran Engineering for engineering services for the completion of a conceptual sidewalk master plan for the city. Any comments from the city administrator?
No additional comments.
All right, with none, is there any questions from the board? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve second reading?
So moved.
Alderman Morose, do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Alderman Osteen. Roll call, please.
Alderman Walker,
yes,
Alderman Osteen,
Yes.
Alderman Morose,
Yes.
Alderman Becker,
Yes.
Alderman Rucker,
Yes.
and Alderman Ross.
Yes.
All right, our second reading passes. On to new business. Our first item of new business is requesting a first reading of Bill Number 2110, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Intrado Life and Safety Solutions Corporation for the Communications Center 911 phone service in an amount not to exceed $355,945. Chief.
Mayor and members of the board, this is a request to continue our service agreement with continue the agreement that we currently have with Intrado It's, our current agreement that we have will end this year. We are currently on a 1-year extension from the original contract that I believe was a 5-year. This will be a 7-year contract. It is a budgeted item that we have and recommend approval. And Lieutenant O'Day's here if you have any questions on the technical end of it.
All right, thanks, Chief. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Alderman Ross?
Yeah, I just have a couple quick questions. First of all, is Entrado the only company that offers these services? We didn't go out to bid, it was extended, so I don't know if there's just no one else, or are they a sole source supplier?
Mike, you want to probably touch on this better than I could, since you did all the research.
There is other companies, but this company, when we started with them, they were bid through the GAC, it's a Galveston, and it's a source we've used before. They bid the items before we were able to buy them.
Is that like, is that
Got a
like?
state bid process?
That's,
Bidding.
Right, cooperative bidding.
okay, okay. And is this price of, it's up about 20% from what we're already paying, is that locked in for the entire agreement, or can it rise also?
No, it's for the entire 7 years, and it will not go up.
Okay. And have we had good luck and experience with Entrado?
Yes.
Or these folks, whatever you want to call them? Good, all right, that's all I have, thanks.
All right, any other questions or comments? Yes,
What is
Alderman
the
Rucker.
actual service that they provide?
So this is
Bring it down to our level, what they provide.
So the easy, without diving off into the back end of it, is this does is it's called Next Gen 911. It allows for us to text the 911 GPS coordinates. So when a caller calls in, we get their GPS coordinates and we're able to pinpoint where that caller's at. I mean, there's some leeway there. Don't go right directly to her, but it's going to be in that general area. Some other things it does on the back end, when calls come into the center, it splits them, or it knows where to send that call as far as phone numbers or how to record it. It's the simple.
So is it the software side?
It's equipment and software.
Oh, so it's hard and software side of the phone service.
What's that?
Hard and software side of the phone service.
Yes.
Okay.
So like this request is for upgraded equipment, and then you'll see Viper in there. Viper is the operating system. That's that holds all that data.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one real quick one to add
Sure.
on that. Do we have that GPS ability today
GPS.
to identify where someone is?
Yes, our current system's NG 911 capable. This is just upgrading.
Okay. Because we talked about this, I was curious that, I'm from Clinton, Missouri, okay? And I know a lot about what happened there and the confusion around which Main Street or Orchard Street they were on, because there's more than one Orchard Street in that county, and they potentially went to the wrong house, and then an officer ended up dying. And it was a terrible, terrible, tragic thing. So this upgrade, does it give us any better capability towards that, or what's the upgrade for, if you don't mind? Or is it just better stuff?
Right, it's technology being
Okay,
upgraded.
all right. That's all I have, Mike, thanks.
Other questions? If there are none, is there a motion to approve first reading?
Motion approved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rucker, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading passes. Thank you, Mike. Our next item, request a first reading of Bill Number 2111, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Ozark Applicators, LLC, for the cleaning of the Passover water tower in an amount not to exceed $8,500. Assistant City Administrator, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As the mayor stated, this is a contract to clean the outside of the Passover tower. It's the outside only. I believe every other time we do this, we clean the inside and the outside. This is the time where we're just doing the outside. Bids were opened on the 2nd of March. We did have two bidders. The low bidder was Ozark Applicator. It's been a while, but we have worked with this company in the past. I've checked all of their references, and even consulted with Dave and Cochran Engineering. They have had good experience with him in the past as well. This should be a pretty quick turnaround because they are only cleaning the outside. I do recommend approval. If any questions, either myself or Dave can answer them.
All right, thank you, Mike. Questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve first reading?
So move.
Do I have a second? Alderman Becker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading passes. Our next item is requesting both a first and second reading of Bill Number 2112, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with B&P Patterson LLC for the Beach Drive Intersection Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $71,641.25. This is the Assistant City Administrator's show this evening, so Mike, you're up
So sorry, I
again.
meant to get these guys, out to you guys beforehand, but as I'm reading this, I just want you guys to see the layout so that you know exactly what we're talking about here. Thanks to Dave for bringing these forward. All right, thank you, Mayor, members of the board. This is a contract for the Beach Drive Intersection Improvement Project. Bids were opened on the 9th. We did have three bidders. The low bidder was B&P Patterson. If you remember, B&P Patterson is the company that did the Jew Branch sidewalk project for us last year. So we did have good results on that project. I talked to everybody from our construction inspector to their references, to Dave and his staff. Everything I've heard back from this company is good. This is a project that we need to get turned around quickly. So we are asking for first and second reading on this. The low bid was $71,641.25. If there's any questions, myself or Dave can answer. I would recommend. If you see the map there, that kind of just shows you what exactly that's going to look like once they're completed there. It will widen that intersection quite a bit and give a lot of room for larger trucks as they go down there.
And improve line of sight. Right, which is critical. Okay. Thank you very much, Mike. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Alderman Rucker.
I'm a little confused, Mike, with the numbers. It appears that we budgeted $82,000 for this project,
That's correct.
and it appears that the engineering estimate was $85,000. Why is it that if the engineer told us he thought it was going to be 85, why didn't we budget 85?
I can answer the part of that budget question. When Dave and I met, when we were in the budget process, I'm not sure where he was on the exact amount, but Cochran and myself decided on 82 because we weren't sure how much cost had went up. Because we originally had 80,000 budgeted over the last couple budgets and we were carrying over. And so we made the decision last fall or late last year when we were putting the budget together to do 82. Dave then, since then, he can answer what happened, but I was part of the 82 budget.
Yeah, come ahead, Dave.
Sure, so what Gina said is right. The design was completed when we prepared the budget for the city. The other thing I would state is the bid from B&P, that includes $5,000 in force account work, which is somewhat of a contingency towards the project. So you could look at it either way. The contingency wasn't included in the estimate that we gave to the city.
Okay.
Because I would say I'm happy that the bids came in under budget.
Oh, I'm not complaining about it other than the fact that I can, you know, I
That
just
budget
would like to see the
predated
budget and the engineering estimate being pretty close and, you know, I mean.
It was a timing issue, you know, timing of it being done.
So that's always one of the challenges of giving the city budgets for projects when the designs aren't complete, which is almost always the case. We have to make some assumptions. I think in this particular project, we added a little bit more asphalt to the project than what was included in the project when we put the budget together.
So that's the answer, that at the time that the budget was put together, you had not actually completed the engineering's estimate, and the budget amount was a best guess at that time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? All right, any other questions? Yes, Alderman Ross?
So this is more of a Dave question, and probably there's a good reason for it, but these raised islands that are in here, well, I know they're great conceptually. I tend to find, in my experience, and I see it still around here, that they're just things for people to run over and tear their cars up. I don't think they necessarily provide that much protection, and I'm not convinced that they're really necessary, although they may be a good idea, but long-term, I'm curious what your thoughts are on how critical they are.
So you'll see on the plan we have there's a raised concrete island in a large area that's striped. The original plan was that entire striped area was gonna be a raised concrete island. I think that would create more of the potential conflicts that you're talking about, Richard, if we had the larger island there. The design we have now does two things. It gives more room for large trucks to get in, and large trucks do use this entrance to get down to backwater jacks. The owner said they do have full-size tractor trailers that go down and deliver to the restaurant there. So that's why we did that the way we did, and that's also why we made the radiuses bigger than what they were previously. Led to some of the extra pavement that I said earlier. On top of that, it also gives you a place to locate the signage that's at the intersection. I think it's less likely that vehicles will run into the signage if they're on a raised concrete island.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. All right, if there are no other questions, is there a motion to approve first reading? Alderman Becker, second, Alderman Rucker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading passes. Second reading by title only of ordinance number 2112, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with BNP Patterson LLC for the Beach Drive intersection improvement project in an amount not to exceed $71,641.25. Are there any additional questions from the board? If there are none, is there a motion to approve second reading?
Motion approved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose. Roll call, please.
Alderman Osteen,
Yes.
Alderman Morose,
Yes.
Alderman Becker,
Yes.
Alderman Rucker,
Yes.
Alderman Ross,
Yes.
and Alderman Walker.
Yes.
All right, second reading passes. Our next item, request a motion to approve the Missouri Department of Transportation, Highway Safety and Traffic Division's City Council. I know they have to have this. I hate this every year when they say City Council, but anyway, I don't want to create a problem. Authorization form, Chief.
Mayor, members of the board, this is just a form that the Board of Aldermen needs to sign that will allow us to receive funds from Highway Safety for our traffic enforcement projects. This is something that we've participated in several years, and it's just a formality for us to receive funds. This year, we're requesting $4,800 for hazardous moving violation funds and $3,800 for DWI enforcement.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Questions? Seeing none, there is a form that is going down the dais for your signature, so we would like to have that signed before the meeting is over, if it's approved. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Alderman Morose, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rucker, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Will somebody sign on my behalf, or?
No.
Mayor, I've got the original form, and now we'll get it to Alderman Osteen tomorrow or at his convenience, and we'll get it signed.
Okay, thank you.
The chief or someone will give you a call, decide whether or not you're at work or at home, and make arrangements to have it signed.
Sure, okay.
Thank you. All right, our final item this evening, request a motion to approve the purchase of new water meters from Schulte Supply in an amount not to exceed $70,783.62. Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. This purchase is to replenish inventory, to replace meters as they go bad. Schulte Supply is the sole source vendor in the Midwest for the Neptune meters. As you know, that is the only meter style that we use. We're asking with this quote to order 300 of the 5/8 inch, 5 of the 1 inch, 2 1.5 inch, and 5 2-inch meters for a total of $70,783.62. I do want to point out that we have had 2 pretty serious weather events that have taken their toll on our infrastructure over the past 6 months. And unfortunately, even though the lightning strike happened in November, most of those repairs did not happen until after the first of the year. So the repair and system account has already been hit pretty hard by these 2 large weather events, the lightning strike and then the major winter storm that we had back in February. So in the coming, at the next board meeting, Jeannie and I are going to be preparing a budget amendment to add some additional funds to this account so that we can make sure that our water staff has the resources they need to get through the rest of the year. Obviously, these things are going to be turned into insurance. There is a likelihood that we will get reimbursed for a lot of what has happened. But obviously, as you know, that's a different account. That's a revenue account, so we have to keep those separate. So we will bring forth a budget amendment. I recommend approval, and I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any questions? Yes, Alderman Rucker.
Point of clarity, please. Page 89, in the middle, it should be February of 2021, not February of 2020.
Yes, sir.
Where's the item for signature? Has it been signed and moved down? Okay, Todd's got it.
Chief has it.
Has it been signed over here? Okay. Any other questions? Once the correction's made, appreciate that. And is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Mike. Next item is communications. We start with members of the board. Alderman Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take a second to wish Matt Vandervoort well. He's going to be leaving us, as I understand, and the effort and ownership that he's had around the parks, I think, has been tremendously commendable over the years. He's going to be sorely missed, and some folks up in northern Iowa are going to get a gift. But I want to wish Matt well as he leaves, and thank him for everything he's done. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Morose.
No comment.
Okay. Alderman Osteen.
I have no comment, thank you.
All right. Alderman Walker.
I have nothing.
All right. Alderman Becker.
Yeah, I have one item regarding, I completely agree with what Alderman Ross said about Matt. And I don't know what's been customary in the past or usual, but I would like to see the Board of Aldermen notified of those such instances when we receive a letter of resignation from that level of person. I think that's only common courtesy, rather than finding out through the grapevine.
Well, and Alderman Becker, I'm going to apologize. I did not realize maybe an email had went out to you. I know that I'm very conscious of that with appointed officials. I know that level is definitely part of the management team, and that is a very good point. I was not made aware until today that, you know, what announcement had or hadn't been made, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right. Alderman Rucker.
Just want to clarify with Tara, because she I kind of tried to communicate with her, but she didn't talk. The next meeting, we will have the February 25th meeting minutes? Okay, thank you. And the other thing is I know there was some email stuff going around about, in reference to the Hammond TIF situation, and that process. Where are we actually at in that?
At the mayor's direction, I've given notice to the property owners and all the parties we can find who would be associated or part of that project to tell them that frankly they're in default under the contract. That's the first step. Once we give them 30 days notice, then we'll see whether anyone responds. After that, we will notice up, basically it will be 3 separate ordinances, or maybe 1 ordinance at a time. I haven't made the decision yet as to format on that, but staff will be recommending that you declare the contract void because it has been breached, the project hasn't been built, that you repeal the TIF plan itself that now overlays that area, okay? And that you unwind, undo, repeal the ordinance that created the Marina View Community Improvement District, which gets us basically back to its square one ground should another developer ever come by and say they'd like to do something with that project.
Will we also at that point, or can we at that point notify the other taxing entities by at least a letter form of, so they're aware that situation is off the table, so to speak?
Sure, we can do that. Absolutely.
I think that would be common courtesy for us to do that to them.
None of the entities have been affected yet because TIF has not been invoked and started, but I agree, as a matter of common courtesy, we might as well just tell them, hey, this has all been wrapped up so you can close your files too.
Yeah, thank you. That's all I have.
All right. City Administrator.
I do have a couple things. Alderman Ross wanted an update on the vacancy of the Public Works Operations Manager. We do have about a dozen applications. I apologize, I don't know the exact number because I got a couple sent later. We're hoping to be scheduling interviews as early as next week. Still don't know exactly what time, date, we're, coordinate those kind of things. Some of those may start via Zoom because of people traveling in. Don't know what that'll look like, but we are moving ahead, and hopefully I'll have a better update next time around. So the other thing that I have, I sent an email out wanting to schedule somewhat of a pre-planning meeting with the management team. I'm already getting some feedback, so bear with me. I'm trying to coordinate everyone's schedules, and so I know we can get this done, but I also know we're on a time thing. So I recognize if I've gotten emails from you saying that don't work, or it does, and you don't be surprised if you don't get follow-ups of let's try this, let's try this. So I appreciate your patience on that, but I really think it is a good idea, and it wasn't totally my idea, so I'm not going to take credit for that, but it is a good idea, and I think it'll be worth the, scheduling craziness that we'll go through. So that's, and then if you have any questions on those 2 items, I'll be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. City Attorney. City Clerk. You want to speak through time?
Read something for you if you like. Chief, just to let everyone know, the police department's starting today. We'll be carrying Narcan for opioid overdoses. All the officers completed their training. We've got it. We've issuing it out to everybody today. So it'll be out on the road. So hopefully we don't have to use it, but we do have the tools to, 9 times out of 10, we beat the ambulance there. So we can do that. We did have, on our hiring end of it, the openings that we have, we had 3 scheduled to test today for police officer, and none of them showed up.
Oh, shit.
Just a little, Cindy gave me some numbers. Since June of 2020, we've had our openings posted. We've had 8,397 hits on the webpage. We've only received 34 applications, though. And out of those 34, 15 of them didn't meet the minimum qualifications. So then we had some that we interviewed. took positions with higher paying agencies, but right now there's 100+ agencies out there with multiple openings like us. So we're competing all across the state. We've got some ideas that we're gonna meet and discuss with Gina and possibly push out to you guys for thinking outside the box for some hiring opportunities that will, hopefully we can draw in some more applicants. But we're working on it. We're trying to meet with the academies. At this point, some of them still aren't letting visitors come in because of the COVID, so we're pounding them with flyers and information and hoping we can get them. So.
I want to add something to that because I know Cindy and Todd have been working hard on, like they said, brainstorming. And one program that, hopefully I'm not jumping the gun here, that they're pushing forward, it's sort of like our education reimbursement that we have just in general. But as they go to the academies, have an option for them that if we hire them after the academy and they stay so long that we reimburse them either the student loan portion or the academy portion type other incentives. So I got to give them credit. They really have been, they're working out the legalities of all that with Ed and stuff, but there are some really good ideas, huh?
Well, that'll slow it down.
No, we're not. We're keeping him on his toes, but I think they're throwing a lot of things out there, and I think that's being competitive, and other agencies have had success in that area, so.
Good.
Yeah, it's very competitive. I have to applaud the work that the chief and his team have done as far as reaching out to the academies. Two of the candidates that were supposed to be interviewed actually were to be, recent graduates from academies. So that's all we can do is get out there and do. And one other thing I think Todd had mentioned, and I don't know if you all heard, but I thought this was a good idea for those academies that we cannot get into. We do or have the ability to get lists of, who those candidates are. And so we're sending out emails inviting them, providing them with information about, what our opportunities are. So, this is a real positive effort, to attract officers, to our area. So I commend you, Todd, and your team. It's a really good opportunity.
It's all of us coming up with it. It's not
Absolutely,
easy, so.
absolutely. It's a team effort. Yes, Alderman Rucker?
It just made me think of a program years ago that I was involved with as fire chief in the academy and all the similar situation that you're having. We reached out and even went one step further of sponsorship and paying some of their tuition up front for if they didn't have it, and with I know it's a little more challenging to make sure you're going to get it back. Obviously, once they're here, you can, but
That's one of the things we're trying to put together.
I think
Possibly hire somebody and send them through that.
All right, thank you. All right, Assistant City Administrator. You tired yet of coming up and sharing with us?
Just want to give you a staffing update as well. So as it stands right now, we are still 2 short in the sewer department. We are 1 short in the water department. And then, as was mentioned in Parks, we already have the Parks Manager job out, and I think we have 17 applications already. So we've got a good pool there. And then we're also deep into seasonal hiring as far as our seasonal concession and grounds workers or transportation workers at the park and in the transportation park.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Mr. Van Leer with Concord Engineering.
Thanks. I met with the mayor and Gina this afternoon, and one of the things we discussed was street lighting going down the hill on Mace Road. I know the board had tasked us with coming up with a solution to the gap in the street lights between the roundabout and then when you get up the hill into phase 2A. So coming up with a way to light the hill and the sidewalk on that stretch of Mace Road. The 2 options we looked at were option 1 was putting Ameren lighting mounted on the existing utility poles that are on that stretch of the road. Option 2 was installing street lighting similar to what's around the roundabout and on Mace Road Phase 2A along the sidewalk that runs up the hill. We hit a roadblock in trying to install the decorative street lighting because additional right-of-way was going to be required to complete that, and the property owner was not receptive to granting right-of-way. So from there, we went to Ameren. As you're traveling from the parkway down Mace Road towards the roundabout and you head down the hill, there is an existing Ameren light at Aver mounted on a pole. What we're proposing is we would mount another light on a second utility pole that's about 100 feet down the road. And there's 2 more utility poles on the left-hand side as you go down, and we would mount Ameren lights on those also. So a total of 3 Ameren lights, 0 installation cost, $15 per month per light, for a total of $45 per month. So after meeting with Gene and the mayor, our plan is to move forward with that, unless there's any questions from the board.
All right, thank you. Anything else? All right, questions? Yes, Alderman Ross.
I just want to say, and I should have taken this earlier, thanks for all your work, and I know there's been some work from other folks in the department for getting Beach Drive done before Memorial Day, and it looks like you've been working closely with Backwater Jacks, and there was a time where I was concerned if that was going to happen, and you guys took care of that, so thanks so much. And that's all I have.
Yeah, and I appreciate the work that Dave and Mike have both done. We've already got the AT&T work that was required. That's already been completed. So now it's, we've got the contract, we'll get it signed tonight and get it out two weeks hopefully ahead of schedule. And, I appreciate you all handling the second reading this evening. And this will give us, as Dave mentioned today, 60 days to complete a project, which should take 30 days. And we pray that we don't have to, deal with a lot of rain and whatever to create problems from there. But yeah, I think we're moving forward with that real well. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, I believe that's it for staff. So our business for this evening is complete, and we are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening and a great weekend.